Now I'm going to show you some useful tricks for creating good materials. So you can go into Google Images and just search for something like road or street texture and just save a simple little image like this. That's the easiest way. If you want, again, you can go to Polyhaven and search for a free texture. And sometimes these will come included with different 3D maps, which are going to make them look a lot more realistic. So if we search for road here, here's asphalt, we can go ahead and download this, and we'll go ahead and download just this normal image, because I want to show you how you can combine both. So we'll go ahead and unzip this, and then we'll pop back into Blender. Let's take a look at these folders just to see what these are looking like here. So we get a textures folder. This is from Polyhaven, and we have what it says diff, disp, and rough. And you also have nor here. So you need to get to know the names for different types of textures. And it's pretty easy. If you scroll in here, so diff stands for diffuse, disp stands for displacement, nor stands for normal, rough stands for roughness. And sometimes there's other ones like specular maps, subsurface. These are all different images that are corresponding to different channels in this node here that you could plug in. So, for example, the diffuse. This is basically just your normal color texture. We can place this into our base color node. And to do that, we click Shift A and we search for an image texture node. And what we can do is click Shift D with this selected and just duplicate this a few times. And then you just open up the image that we saved from Polyhaven. So we can go here to textures and open up the diffuse. And then you can just drag the color straight into the base color. And instantly, you guys are going to see the image that we saved from Polyhaven onto our plane. Now notice here, because we stretched the scale of this plane, it's also stretching the scale of the texture. So we'll talk about that in a bit, how to change around the mapping. For now, let's just keep opening these up. We want to open up here our normal. For the normal, I recommend you guys search for normal map node. Then you can plug it here, and that way it properly converts. You can also change the strength. And then we'll go back in here and get the roughness, and we'll place this into the roughness. Now keep in mind here, you can mix and match these maps. So for example, I can go to our diffuse image here that's plugged into our base color, and say I want to go back and use that custom one that we saved from Google. So this one here. Now what we're getting is a different diffuse, but we still have the same normal and roughness. So again, if I was to remove that, you're not going to have the same sort of reflections from the lighting. Let's go back to polyhaven.com, and I just downloaded one of these rusty metal textures for free. I'll give you one more example of how we can use our nodes. So say we want to add in a license plate here. Well, this actually came with a texture for a license plate. If not, you could just search for a license plate image from Google. What we're going to do is we're going to click tab, and again we're going to go to face select, and we're going to select this area here, and we're going to create a new material. So let's name this license plate, and then we'll assign it. And we'll go ahead and just grab this one. So I'll save this image back in Blender. We'll open that image here. Now you're going to notice here you don't see this image, and that's because we need to change around the projection. So here's a great way for changing the way that different images, different textures are projected onto the object. First, what you want to do is click Shift A and add in a mapping node. And next, what you want to do is Shift A and add in a texture coordinate node. And then we connect everything here. You connect the mapping vector to your image texture, to your image vector, and then you connect the object for your texture coordinate onto the vector of your mapping. So you see we have a slight change here. And then you guys can mess around with the scale and the location here to better place this where you want. So I could go to my scale, put this at like 0.5 for everything, maybe even a little bit lower, maybe like 0.2s. Now that's the difficult way of doing this. An easier way of doing this is by switching over to the UV editor, and by opening up the image that you're trying to project here. Then you switch over to edit mode, select this area, and you click U, and you click unwrap. Now you can see exactly in the UV editor, you can actually select here and click G. You can see exactly where it's projecting. So I can do something like this just by clicking G to move these points where I like them. And then what I can do is go back to our shader editor and just change back the scale. So we'll just put these back to defaults. Things are upside down. You can even select and click R and just rotate them around. Then go back to your shader editor and remove all the fluff. There you go. So we projected that onto our car using our UV editor. And again, sometimes I think the UV editor can be a bit tricky for beginners, but it is very, very helpful in Blender. And compared to UV editing and other softwares, I think it's very easy in Blender and a great, great skill to know for correctly projecting anything you want onto these specific parts of your objects.